Hi guys, it's Christina Kasky here with Foreverboard Soapery. Today I am going to be working on a grape soap. I had a request from one of my little cousins to make everything grape when she was going through all the products that I have. So today I am going to try and make that for her. So at the moment there I just had the canola oil in the container, and I've just added my coconut oil there to it, and then I am going to add my castor oil. Today's recipe is different than my usual. Usually I kind of have my base recipe that I have in most of my soaps that I love, but today I'm trying something a little bit different. I have made that lard the other day I believe I shared it in a video there. So I'm going to try using that today. So this is my fragrance oil. It's a galactic grape from, I can't remember if it's Voyager or Candor, but I want to say Voyager. And I'm second guessing that it could be Candor. One of those two. Galactic grape. I'm hemming and hawing here because I'm noticing the color on it. It says it's not supposed to discolor, but it's definitely a kind of that orangey red color right now. So I'm questioning whether that's true or not. So I'm just adding in my neon purple here into the one container, and then the other one is going to be my titanium dioxide. So the majority of my soap here will be purple, and then just a little bit of a white accent on the top. It's not the first time I've made a soap with lard. When I was first starting out, I used lard, but it was the lard from the store, so it had the palm oil and all that stuff in it. So if palm oil is not your jam, then that doesn't necessarily work out. Kind of due to that, that's why I developed a recipe without the palm. But in this case, it's straight from pig fat, so the lard is nice and pure. It doesn't have all that stuff in it. I'll show you here. It's the batch that I made. It's nice and white and creamy looking. Pretty happy with the way that turned out. It doesn't have any strong scent to it either, which is fantastic. Something that I worried about is if it was going to kind of have that pig fat smell to it, but it doesn't. So here, I'm just stirring up this white titanium dioxide and the fragrance oil. And as you can see, it's pretty orange, and I really want the color to be white. So I'm adding a little bit more titanium dioxide here to try and get that color down to more of a white. And as you can see, I am not super successful here. It's still pretty orange, which leads me to my little hand whisker here. This little guy is a little milk frother that I bought, and it just gets that TD really well mixed in, which again does help a little bit, but still kind of that orangey color. So I go for a little bit more. I'm getting to the point here where I'm kind of at max usage. I'm trying to hold back because I don't want to overdo it, but it's not mixing the way that I want it to. So here I really hemmed and hawed and decided, nope, we're gonna push it here. So I added in a little bit more and titanium dioxide. This is definitely the max. Like, I can't go past this, I don't think. If I did, I think I would end up in a situation where when you're using your soap and it kind of pools, you'll get that big chunk of kind of white there, that sort of thing, which I try to avoid. So it's as white as it's gonna get, and I gotta be honest, when I'm looking at it here, it's not very white. It's more of a creamy yellow kind of look to it, but it's the best I could pull off right now. So I set it aside, resigning myself to the fact that I might not get white and being a little disappointed in that. And here I'm just giving my oils a quick stir up, just because there are quite a variety here, so I just want to make sure that they're well mixed in there. And then I am going to add in my goat's milk, because I love the goat's milk in my soaps. We're actually at the house here now. We're trying to decide which goats we're going to take out of milk and which goats we're going to begin milking. I think Giovanni has advised us that she would like to no longer be milked. I swear our goats do tell us when they have had enough. And Giovanni has decided that that's enough milking for right now. So we're going to take her out of milk. She's been in milk the longest out of the group. And then that will leave, I think we've got Sway and Sphinx still in. Sway was one of our top milk star earners, just really high butter fat and production. So we'll have to see, but I think we're going to take those two out of milk, and then maybe Hoppa's just finishing up with her kid. And there's somebody else out there maybe might come into on the milk schedule. We'll have to see how it goes. I'd like to get Hoppa's milk star this year, but I think we might have left it a little too long. We'll have to see what kind of milk she's providing us to decide if that'll work out. So I do have my lye. You probably see me there mixing the lye, and I'm just getting everything stirred to emulsion here. Once I hit emulsion, I'll separate out my batch a bit, but for now I'm just trying to get it all mixed and incorporated well. This stick blender has been my hero. So at the beginning of soap making, the first thing that you hear over and over again is that soap making is so hard on stick blenders. And this is definitely true. And I'll be perfectly honest, I thought this stick blender was going. The sound on it kind of changed. And I thought this stick, at least 3 years ago, maybe 4 or 5. I don't even remember how long it's been. But I thought it was dying, so I went out and made sure to buy another stick blender so I'd have a backup. Well, since that time, I've probably gone through 6 stick blenders that I've killed off in varying fashions. And this guy's still going strong. It's a Cuisinart. I don't know much more about it. It's super old. Like, before my husband and I were together, he had this stick blender and we moved in together with it. That would have been back in 99. So she's going strong, this guy. Definitely would love to get another one like it. If I happen to be at a garage sale or something and I seen it, I would be picking it up for sure. So here I'm just straining off a quarter of my batch to make the white section, or hopefully white section. And then I'm just going to separate that out so that I can add my purple to the main base of the mold here. Now the neon purple mica that I've got in this one, it's a pretty strong, neons I find are pretty strong colors in general, so I don't tend to use a ton of mica in them. As you can see with how much TD I added versus how much mica, or the purple mica I added, it's pretty big difference between the two, but I usually find I just don't need a ton of the purple, so I take it pretty easy on that one. And I'm continuing to blend here. I'm just trying to get to trace on this one at the at least. The reason I wanted to be at Trace is the layers that I plan to put in on this one, I'm going to need the batter to stiffen up for me in between. So I'm blending this one a little bit more than maybe I normally would. Also, I'm not 100% certain how the lard reacts. When it comes to my basic recipe that I do all the time, I know what's going to happen. I know how far I can go, how much mixing I can do, how close to emulsion or light trace I can be, that sort of thing. But this is a new recipe, so I'm just going to make sure that it's mixed up really well. I wandered off here just to get the molds out of my soap room. That back room there is kind of my storage room for all the things. It's a small little space, and it's definitely looking pretty crowded right now, but I ended up moving pretty much everything I had into this shop, and not everything fits perfectly, of course, because it's quite a small little space here. But what I'm finding is I don't need all the things and stuff that I used to have. In the past, just the way that I did things, for example, my soap recipe, my base recipe, it actually would take about 4 or 5 days to be able to be unmolded. It was quite a liquidy kind of batch, which was fine. But what I've done since moving to the shop is I've actually changed and done a water discount. And that water discount has changed everything. I'm now unmolding within 24 hours. It's been a huge difference to my soaps. I'm really happy with that. So with that, I don't need as many molds as I used to need. The other thing too is I used to need a lot of everything because I would only get to do dishes about once a week. So everything would sit, and then I would just do a master batch of all the dishes all at once. Sounds dirty, but really they're all full of soap. So that was kind of a pain. So I needed extra of everything because I would make 3 or 4 batches a week, and I would need 3 or 4 of everything to do that. I don't need that anymore. Now I have my sink right here. I'm doing my dishes up daily so that they're done and complete. I can start downsizing on all the things that I'm not using as much of, which I think will be pretty great. So sometime later this month, I got to get that room cleaned out, but I just want to get a good feeling of what it is I'm using, and what I'm not using anymore before I start downsizing and taking things away. So I poured all the purple evenly between these 4 molds here. And I'm just scraping out my container, making sure everything is well used up. I find that it's super important to just get that container scraped out as much as humanly possible. It does make cleaning so much easier, and I'm able to clean everything up right away because it's all the soap's already removed. I just use my cloths here at the end of the day just to wipe them out completely, or at the end of the batch to wipe them out completely, and then I can go ahead and wash the cloths in a week or so once the soap's all saponified and so on, and the dishes are fairly clean, so they're easy to wash right away. So I'm moving everything over onto this little restaurant tray here. I use these trays to cure and dry all of my soaps and put my other products and stuff on while they're waiting for labeling and such. They fit really well on my baker's rack. But the reason I'm doing it kind of so early on is I think my table's got a little bit of a slant to it. So one section of my mold will look a little fuller than the other section, and it seems to level out a bit when I put it on a tray. So I tend to do that if I'm trying to get the batch just to even out if it's doing that. And as I said, that's my guess, is that this table is just really uneven. So here I've added in some more fragrance oil and the titanium dioxide into my batter. And as you can see, it's looking a little bit yellow here. I'm not super excited about it, but there's really nothing I can do. It's one of those things with soap making, never seems to ever go exactly the way you had planned, unless you're maybe making the same thing over and over again. But I personally like to make new stuff all the time. That's what I love about soap making, and that makes you just learn to go with the flow. So here I have to wait for the purple here to harden up. I'm just trying to push it all over to one side, and it's just not happening. So I popped away here for a bit, and I come back, and it's starting to move over to the other side and hold, but not perfectly just yet. But I'm going to try and make it work for what I'm going for. I just want to get all that purple piled high on the one side and then add the white in. And this white is going in really well. It's still very pourable, which is great. I should have no problems getting it into each of the molds. Have you guys ever made a soap with your own lard? I'm curious to see how many people out there actually make their own lard. This is my first time making it. I found it to be fairly easy. It wasn't too tough at all. And I'm pretty happy with the product that's come out of it. I would need a heck of a lot more lard, that's for sure, to make soap on a regular basis with it. It'll definitely be one of those one-offs. Every now and again I'll carry products just because I'm assuming what I've got here is 1 pig's worth of lard, and that's not a ton. They are from Kuni, so it's a smaller pig. But this might not have been all of it either. This might have been just the leaf lard. I'd have to find out for sure, in which case that's only a portion of it. And I don't know if you can quite tell here, but as I'm pouring this, it is looking a little bit more on the white side, that creamier white look to it, which I'm getting very happy with. And I'm just tapping down all of the trays just to get any air bubbles out and make sure that the soap's kind of evenly distributed there. So this recipe was made with the coconut oil, canola oil, castor oil, lard, and goat's milk. And I did share, at the end of the video here, I am going to share the recipe with you. It's what I put into Soap Calc to get all the numbers, but feel free to kind of develop your own recipe or take the information and just run it through Soap Calc yourself too, just to make sure you get the same numbers. It's super important never to trust a recipe when it comes to soap making. It's always best just to double check it for yourself to make sure that there were no errors. We are humans and errors do happen, and you do want to catch those where you can. And again, just scraping everything off here nice and clean. Today I'm working on some shave soaps, shaving cream specifically. I made a batch at Christmas here and kind of with a gentleman's scent. It was called Barbershop, and it went really well. But what I found was that there were a lot of women who wanted to buy it for themselves, but of course didn't like the scent. It was quite a strong one that I had in there, and they weren't really a fan of that particular fragrance. So I have made up a batch today of one that's kind of it's got like whipped berries and a bit of a noir fragrance in it. It's a sweeter one. But I made up a batch today of that so that the ladies have an option to try, and we'll see what everybody thinks of it. And if everybody loves it, then maybe I'll keep it in stock in my line. But for now, I'll put it out there as something to try. I have tried it. It works great for shaving my legs for sure. It's not a super foamy shaving cream like you kind of would get out of the canned sprays. It's not necessarily like that, but it does lather up on the skin, and it does give you that nice smooth close shave. So I think it's a good choice or a good option to use. Definitely would love more input on it. So if you want to come in and give it a shot, I do have some on the shelves for you to try and tell me what you think. I'm just doing a little bit of a spoon scoop over deal here, just trying to build a little bit of a peak in the middle of this soap. Add a little bit of height to it. I was super excited here yesterday. I noticed, I went into my YouTube accounts and my videos and was just checking them out just to see how they're doing and what's out there and whatever. And I found one of my shorts that I did on the orange patchouli soap. It actually had over 2,000 views. And I know for many YouTubers that's nothing. But for me, as a first-time YouTuber and just getting started and putting my things and stuff out there, I was super happy with that. 2,000 views made me very, very happy. I'm definitely looking for subscribers at this time. I am trying to make YouTube part of my income stream here at the shop. It helps you get through those slower months that come with this type of business, as well as lets people know what products you have, what's available for purchase, what's coming up for purchase. It's just really great way to advertise my business. And the more subscribers I have, the more likelihood it is that you'll get to see my videos, to try, watch the different soap making options, that sort of thing. So I'm definitely looking for subscribers. If you're interested in subscribing, it will help me out a lot. I can't remember what the limit is, if it's 1,000 or 2,000 that you need to start getting monetized for ads and things like that. But I know it's not a ton of money, but that little bit of money will definitely assist me in making a go of this as a soap maker with an actual storefront. That's where a lot of soap makers tend to struggle, is they just can't afford to keep a storefront open. And my goal is that I really want to have a space away from my home that I'm making my soap in, as well as maybe even expanding the business somewhat, not so much in the sense of what I'm doing, but how I do it. So things like getting a national shrink wrapping system, which is insanely expensive, but it does offer me my biodegradable option for the shrink wrap, which seems to be all the research I'm doing. It just seems to keep coming back to that. if I want a good cost-effective option so I don't have to raise my prices and do all the things, that's the system that I need. It's just so expensive that I don't foresee the business itself being able to afford something like that in the first year here in the shop. But maybe a little extra income from YouTube potentially could offer something like that. So that would be nice, to have something like that, and it doesn't cost any of my friends and family and followers anything other than that subscribe. All the income is paid to me just from ads on YouTube, which is kind of an interesting way to expand your business and be able to afford those extra items that you just can't generally afford, or would take you a lot longer to be able to afford. On the tray there, I don't know if you can see there, but there's some, I had extra stuff left over. So I made some unicorn horns. At some point, I think I'm going to do a rainbow soap with the unicorn horns on them. But that'll be another day. That takes some very real energy levels and being prepared. Those types of layers take a long time to get through. So I'm just sprinkling on some biodegradable glitter here. It is gonna sparkle this up a little bit for my little cousin. I'm sure she will appreciate the little extra shimmer on top. As I said, it is biodegradable, so you don't have to worry about it getting into your water systems. And it does just rinse off fairly quickly. There's not a ton on here, and it's just on the top bit. So pretty much once you run it under the water once and lather up, it's pretty much gone. So it won't be causing you glitter for days and days. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking. Those cute little purple balls on top are my grapes. They are made with my own melt and pour soap recipe. So I don't buy the bricks or anything like that. I make it myself. And then I use them for my embeds on my soaps. I'm really happy with the way this looks. So we're moving into the next day here, and I did film this guy a couple days ago, the making of and then the cutting. I had it all ready to go and be uploaded, and I lost the whole thing. So I had to start again for you guys. All the lessons learned as I'm starting to record all these videos. So with this particular loaf, I have all the grape embeds on top, or the little purple balls there. They are a little bit tricky to get around because I don't have my molds marked with where the embeds should go. I'm kind of winging it the best I can and doing everything by eyeballing it. So I'm just trying to line up my wires here in between each of the embeds as best as I can. And then once I've got them in there and lined up the way that I think that it will clear all, if not most, then I will make my cut. I'm kicking around too while I'm cutting this here, whether or not I should start offering some soap making classes here at the shop. It's not a ton of space in the shop. What I thought I could do is I could do a small group where I just make the soap and you kind of watch, and then I send you home with everything you need to make your first soap. I thought that would be an option It's how I started soap making. That's what my first class was like. So I thought maybe I could do something like that. The other option I could do is more of a one-on-one, or maybe even potentially two-on-one, where you get to actually make your soap here, and then it'll be all good to go, sort of thing. And you'd be able to do it start to finish. If you have any interest in that, definitely send me a quick email or text or a message here or in the comments if you're interested in coming by the shop and doing something like that. And we can definitely hash out some details on how to make that happen for you. Overall, I'm very happy with the way that soap worked out, and I hope you are too. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great one.